All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2026, number 38. And today, it's over. It's come to an end. And we shall never see its like again. Probably not, but we gotta talk about it. Super Sentai series is officially on hiatus. That's what they're calling it as of right now. Effectively, it's over. It's done with. Super Sentai is no more. And I have feelings about that. As many of you are probably already aware, I'm a massive Power Rangers fan, and I have been a Power Rangers fan since it originally aired. I don't think I watched Day of the Dumpster when it first aired, but I started watching it soon after that, and I saw all the rest of every episode of Power Rangers all the way up through most of Lost Galaxy. I watched I can't remember if it was Saturday mornings or if it was in the afternoon. I can't even remember anymore. But watched it all the time. I loved it. My parents got very much kind of upset with me as I was growing older and I was still clinging on to this Power Rangers stuff. And so they effectively went, yeah, you're too old for this. You need to stop. And so I did for a long time. And then I became an adult and realized I could like whatever the hell I wanted. And I started getting back into Power Rangers. A lot of that due to Hyper RPG, and specifically Zach Eubank and his love of not only Power Rangers, but of Super Sentai. And I was aware that Power Rangers was adapted from a Japanese TV show. I even, here's a fun thing that you can do. In older, I think all the way up through, it might be through Ninja Storm. I can't remember when, but the actual process that they used for filming was different. Like the cameras and the film and everything that they used in the US was a completely different set. I can't remember what they were. But what that meant is anytime they used the Japanese footage, it would actually look different. Like the quality of it would change, the colors would change because they were using different film. And so I was aware of that, but it wasn't until I became an adult and I started looking into Super Sentai. And I realized just not only how long the series had been going on, like Zyuranger, which was a series that they used the footage for Power Rangers, I think was like the 15th version of Super Sentai. So they had 15 years, technically 16, because there was a year where they did Spider-Man instead of Super Sentai. But they had 15 series before Power Rangers became a thing. And so I started really getting into Super Sentai, and I started learning about the other Tokusatsu series, things like. Personally, it's not that I don't love Super Sentai. I think it's great, and I think quite a few of the series are amazing. The most recent one, number one Sentai Gozuger, I thought was phenomenal, and it was a great kind of send off for the show. The one before that was weird. But the one directly before that, I can't remember what it was called, but it was insect and king themed. That one was massively cool. They probably had, in my humble opinion, it's between Gozuger and, what was the other one? Super Sentai. Let's go here. We gotta just look it up. So what was it? Just give me the list of the Super Sentai. Why is it that hard? King Oger. That was King Oger. So for me, as far as like the best Sentai outfits ever, it is a toss up between Gozuger and King Oger, because both of them are just cool. with the Lupin Rangers coming in a close third because they just look awesome. Um, so anyway, not that I don't love Super Sentai, but I got really, really into Kamen Rider. Not only like we've had two American versions of Kamen Rider. We had Masked Rider, which wasn't good. They had a backdoor pilot for it in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I think season 3, and they turned it into a kids show, which technically Tokusatsu is a kids show, but not quite that kids. And it just didn't work very well. Like they put in this weird uh, duck Ewok looking to the thing called Furbus, and it just I didn't like it. And then like a decade later, we got Kamen Rider Ryuki, which over here turned into, I think it's Kamen Rider Dragon Knight or something like that. And that in and of itself was really, really cool, but it didn't do particularly well ratings-wise. And officially, they never broadcast the last few episodes. I think you could only watch them on, I think it was Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network's website at the time. And now you can't find it anywhere officially. The rights have gone crazy, but like Mark Dacascos is in it, and it was massively cool. I'm currently, because you can find Kamen Rider Ryuki on Amazon Prime, currently making my way through Kamen Rider Ryuki because it's amazing. And then I might do, I can't remember the other one that I have. I like, personally, I really, really like the Battle Royale Kamen Rider series. I think they're really, really fun. So anyway, Super Sentai is over. And that's a really, really big deal. But in Japan, they have had this programming block for decades, I believe, called the Super Power Hour or something like that. And what it is it's Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. You have Kamen Rider first and then Super Sentai after. And the way that they did it is they staggered when a new series would start. So in the first half of the year, normally around like February, March-ish, you would get a new Super Sentai. And then the last half of the year, you would get a new Kamen Rider. And it's been that way, like I said, for decades. There's always been 2 superhero tokusatsu shows. Well, now the final episode of number 1 Sentai Goes Yuger aired today. Apparently, as far as I've heard, the fans loved it. It was a beautiful tribute to the show. I have seen, I think it's like the final, like, kicker at the end of it that kind of is this like 2-minute long tribute to Super Sentai in general. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I think it's great. What I wanted to talk about today is what's replacing it, because there have been a number of different tokusatsu things. Like I mentioned before, there was a Spider-Man tokusatsu, which is it's really, really weird, but Spider-Man had a giant mech. The reason that Megazords exist was because of this Spider-Man TV show. I can't remember the company, Toei, I think. The people that made Sentai. They partnered with Marvel to create a Spider-Man TV show to build an audience for Spider-Man in Japan. And it was relatively well received, but it only lasted for a season, and then they went back to their Super Sentai stuff. But one of the things that Spider-Man had was, first of all, his suit, if I remember correctly, was hidden in his watch. And so he'd do that, and you'd see it like pop out, and then and he'd be in his Spider-Man. And then, yeah, he had a giant robot. And so going forward, they started adding giant robots to Super Sentai, and that's now one of the defining features of it. You had Super Sentai, you had Kamen Rider. There was this other thing called Kikader, I think is what it was called. which is another kind of weird the thing that actually influenced what we're going to talk about next. But there was also a thing that started out in the early 80s that was eventually referred to as the Metal Heroes series. And I actually really, really enjoy the Metal Hero series for one like major reason, and that is where most of the other tokusatsu stuff was dudes running around in spandex. The Metal Hero series was dudes running around in armor, and it was massively cool looking armor. And there was also a lot more kind of science fiction aspects to it. The bad part about the Metal Hero series is it did not last very long. And it had a bit of an identity crisis. The Metal Hero series was actually a bunch of different kind of sub-series that all kind of came together because they had kind of similar things of these like robotic cyborg people that sometimes had connections with like space law enforcement and sometimes they didn't. But in the States, we actually got two of the Metal Hero, or technically we had like four of the Metal Hero series adapted for us, but we'll get into that in a second. The first one, VR Troopers, did not do well. It was originally supposed to be a vehicle for Jason David Frank, the guy that played Tommy, the Green Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Fans loved him. And because the Green Ranger had to go, they're like, we've got this great idea. We're going to give you your own show. And so they developed VR Troopers specifically for Jason David Frank. And then they realized that he was so popular on Power Rangers, they're just like, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to leave you on Power Rangers. We're going to let you be the White Ranger. And the person that was going to be the White Ranger got to have this VR Trooper show that bombed. It really, really didn't do well. And then later on, they tried again with Metal Heroes, this time using bug theme ones, and created Big Bad Beetleborgs. And that was actually at a time when Power Rangers was starting to lose its popularity, and Big Bad Beetleborgs was doing exceptionally well. So Big Bad Beetleborgs actually helped save Power Rangers because it did so well. And after Turbo was doing so poorly, they gave Power Rangers one more season to kind of end everything. And that was Power Rangers in Space, which revived the franchise and made it last all the way until just a couple years ago. So anyway, I wanted to kind of talk about what the Metal Hero series was, because what's replacing Super Sentai in the Superhero Power Hour, I think is what it's called, is it's being replaced by this thing called Project Red, which stands for Records of Extraordinary Dimensions. But the specific, that's the overall brand, but the specific show that's replacing it is called Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity. And it looks amazing. We'll get to that in a second here. So let's talk about the Metal Hero series. So 1982 comes around, and they decide to try something new. They have this new series that they call Space Sheriff Gavin. And this starts the Space Sheriff sub-series. And basically what the Space Sheriff series is exactly what it sounds like. Space Sheriff Gavin is this intergalactic sheriff who is sent to Earth to battle these monsters and stuff like that, and kind of, protect the law on planet Earth from space. And unlike the Super Sentai series, where basically every series is completely separate, it has no relationship to the series before it, other than every year for Super Sentai, they would do a crossover movie that was actually released in theaters and everything like that. But those crossover movies were generally considered non-canon to each one of those things. So each Super Sentai, aside from Gokaiger, each Super Sentai was kind of its own thing in its own world and stuff like that. The Space Sheriff series actually started with Space Sheriff Gavin, who is this cool, like, silver dude with a sword. He was awesome. And apparently the series was visually inspired or influenced by Star Wars. I don't know exactly what that meant, but it was a cool series. And then the sequel to it was called Space Sheriff Sherivan. And basically what it was Gavin gets promoted to, what was it? From sergeant to captain in the Space Sheriff organization. So he has to train his replacement, who is Sherivan, who is also very cool. And then after that, we had Space Sheriff Scheider, or Shader, something like that. And this was actually the first series or the earliest chronological series that we actually got some stuff here, despite the fact that it actually happened later for us. And Space Sheriff Shader was about an Earthborn Galactic Police Force trained officer taking over Sherivan's job alongside a female deputy. So yeah, they had your space sheriff and then female deputy. And then I think it went on hiatus for then it had Mega Beast Investigator Juspion, which was weird. Let's put it this way: I'm getting this directly from the Metal Heroes wiki. This series featured a warrior sent to stop Satan Gorth and his diabolical son Mad Gallon from destroying the Earth with giant monsters. Juspion had his own giant robot, Dailion, to combat the evil creatures. And then after that, we had Ziku Sensei Spielbahn, which was the other thing that was used for VR Troopers. So let's talk about VR Troopers. So again, Saban decided that JDF, Jason David Frank, was super, super popular with the fans, and his character in Super Sentai, the Green Ranger, dies. And so that's why they had so little footage of the Green Ranger later on, because he just didn't exist in the series anymore. And so they're like, well, everybody loves JDF, so we're going to create this series, and we're going to do the same thing that we're doing in Super Sentai, but instead of using Super Sentai footage, we're going to use Metal Heroes footage. The problem was they still wanted a team as opposed to just an individual person. And the Space Sheriff series didn't really work with teams. They were either individual people or two partners. And that was it. And they wanted a 3-person team. So what they decided to do is they took the Henshin footage from Ziku Sensei Spielbahn for the 3 American characters were JB, Caitlin, and Ryan. And Ryan was the leader. That was the part that JDF was supposed to play. And then JB and Caitlin were his 2 friends. So Ziku Sensei Spielbahn, those 2 characters were JB and Caitlin, because they had a dude and they had a lady. And those outfits are amazing. They're really, really good. And then for Ryan's morphed or henshin form, his armored form, they used the next series, which was Chojinki Metalder, which was basically about an android that was given human memory so that it could fight against bad guys that of a group that his creator used to belong to. So kind of a, actually kind of similar to Technoman, to be honest. But yeah, so for Ryan's morphed form, they use the Chojinki Metalder outfit, which is a badass looking thing where half of it is like blue and like robotic, and the other half is like armored in red. And it was really, really cool. Well, the problem with VR Troopers is because they were technically splicing together footage from two different shows. They had to do a lot of creative editing because Zuko Sensei Spielbahn never interacted with Metalder in any way, shape, or form. They were completely separate. There was no crossover whatsoever. So there was absolutely no footage of those characters ever interacting. Also, they had completely separate monsters. And so what ended up happening is a lot of times in every episode, they had to have like multiple monsters, and JB and Caitlin would be off fighting these, and Ryan would be off fighting on his own. And what that meant is they burned through footage like crazy. And after a single season had been produced, they had run out of absolutely all of the footage that they could use for Chojinki Metalder. And so what they do is they upgrade Ryan's powers, and they allowed him to basically become Space Sheriff Shader. And so, yeah, technically, his upgraded powers were from a series that aired like 3 years previously. And so that created even more weird things because for JB and Caitlin, they didn't have another kind of pair up series that they could upgrade their powers to. So they had to keep using their old footage, and then they had to splice in the Space Sheriff Shader footage in the there, and it was a mess, and it didn't do super well. It ended after 2 seasons, and that was really it. And then after Chujinki Metalder, there was one last thing in the Space Sheriff subseries, which was, I'm gonna mess this one up, Sekai Ninja Sen Jiraiya? For anyone wondering, I don't speak Japanese. The translation, according to the Metal Heroes Wiki, was World Ninja War Jiraiya. And this one was weird, mostly because they didn't have like full suits of armor. They were just ninjas. They weren't cyborgs. They weren't anything like that. I don't know why they group it together with the rest of the Space Sheriff series, but it is what it is. They were just ninjas fighting against samurai. Demon samurai, specifically. So, yeah. So after we had that stuff, we started having, or I guess that was the Showa era, and then we get to the Heisei era, and we still have kind of this cop thing, like we had Mobile Cop Jiban, which was based on RoboCop. Also had a very, very cool looking suit. And then Special Rescue Police Wind Spectre, Super Rescue Soul Brain, Super Rescue Exceed Draft, Tokuso Robo Gen Person, which is Special Investigation Robo Gen Person. And this is going all the way up to 93 is what they're having there. And again, each one of these is basically a single, cop effectively fighting against stuff. And then the final of the Space Sheriff kind of cop themed stuff was Blue SWAT. Which was significantly less, robot themed. Like they had like body armors and helmets, but then they also had just like normal kind of fatigues and stuff. But they were effectively SWAT. And then we get to the Beetle Fighter series, which we got over here as Big Bad Beetleborgs. The Beetle Fighters was weird. Like the first one was Juko Beetle Fighter. And I'm just going to read directly from the Metal Hero wiki. An alien attack is repelled by a combination of true heroism, super technology, and insect magic housed within 3 suits of armor. And so it was a team of 3, which is something that Saban really, really liked. He liked teams. He didn't like individual superhero kind of the things. And so they tried and they turned it into Big Bad Beetleborgs. And the plot of Big Bad Beetleborgs was basically there's these three kids, and they get dared to spend the night in this haunted house. Well, while they're in there, they find out that the house actually is haunted with old horror movie villains. Like you had Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman, but they were generic versions so as not to have to deal with copyright. While they're in there, they accidentally hit a an organ, as in like musical organ, not like. And they released this genie named Flubber. Not kidding here, is played by, was it Billy West that played? I gotta look it up. Who played Flubber? Big Bad Beetleborgs. Flubber. Billy Forrester, sorry. Who was nonsense. So anyway, they get, it's Flabber, not Flubber. It was Flabber, sorry. And so they release Flabber, and he gives them a wish, and they go, you know what would be really cool, because one of their parents like owned a comic shop, and they're really into comics, like, we want to be Big Bad Beetleborgs, which was a comic series in their world. And so they get turned into the Big Bad Beetleborgs, and they use that to fight off the, dollar store versions of horror movie villains. But the spell that they use, that Flabber used to turn them into the Big Bad Beetleborgs, also accidentally started releasing some of the bad guys. And so now, not only were they Beetleborgs, but they had to fight against the bad guys. And so, yeah, they used Joko Beetle Fighter, which was really, really cool. And then the next Metal Hero series was Beetle Fighter Kabuto, which was a direct sequel. And the way that they adapted that here was the new monsters kind of came out of the comic book. They were too powerful for the Beetleborgs, so they got upgraded powers. They turned into Beetleborgs Metallics, which was also super, super cool. The costumes for Big Bad Beetleborgs and Beetleborgs Metallics were so cool. They looked amazing. And again, they were remarkably popular. They were more popular than Power Rangers at that particular point in time. But again, they ran out of footage, and the very next Metal Hero series was Beetle Robot Kabutak. And that went for aimed at a much, much younger audience. And so everything was very cartoony, and they were using big kind of rubber suits that looked like, Teletubby rejects. And then the direct sequel to that was Tetsuan Tante Robotak, which was basically kind of the same thing, but it was aimed at much, much younger kids. And that ended the Metal Heroes series in 98, 99. So we haven't had a Metal Heroes series in over 20 years. It's just been kind of dead. And now they are effectively kind of rebooting it with this Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity, which they claim is not like a reboot as much as it's just something new. But it looks amazing. Really, really does. And so the new Space Sheriff, there's actually 3 of them. There is Gavin Infinity, who's the cool, like, red-themed Gavin with a cool blaster thing. There is Gavin Bushido, who is kind of silver and blue themed, and he's got a pair of swords. And then there's Space Sheriff Gavin Luminos, who is gold themed and looks so badass. Also, didn't realize this. That one is my favorite outfit thus far. But it's also the one lady uh, the one lady sheriff, but it gives me like Zeo Gold vibes because again she's in like gold, and she has like a shield kind of thing for her armor. It looks super freaking badass. So, yeah, the new Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity looks amazing. And I'm really, really happy to see the Metal Heroes series coming back. It kind of sucks that it's replacing Super Sentai, because I really love, like, again, it's Super Sentai has been around for 50 years. It started right after Dungeons and Dragons, folks. And it has been a staple of Japanese culture for 50 years. And so it's always sad to see something like that kind of fade away, even if it is just temporary. But I'm hoping that one of the things that Toei has mentioned, not only with Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity, but also with Kamen Rider Zets, which is the current Kamen Rider series. They're looking for ways to expand it more internationally, because right now we really don't get any Kamen Rider over here. We almost never get any Super Sentai over here unless it's Power Rangers. Ultraman we started getting here, which is another tokusatsu thing. But I think that's on hiatus or has ended or just something like that, because I haven't seen a new Ultraman thing in years. So it'd be really cool if we could get at least official English language dubbed versions of Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity and Kamen Rider Zets. I think that would be really, really cool. Like I said, there's a lot of Kamen Rider on Amazon Prime now, so you can watch a decent amount of it. My personal favorite Kamen Rider isn't on there, and it upsets me, which is Kamen Rider Mage, I think it, or Kamen Rider Wizard. There we go. And that one's really, really cool, but you can't watch it officially anywhere in the States. So, yeah, that's annoying. But the outfits for Kamen Rider Wizard are so, so cool. So anyway, yeah, I just figured, because it's such a big thing, and again, today was the end. I figured you guys would want to know about it, and I wanted to talk about the Metal Hero series because it's a cool series, and I'm really, really happy to see it coming back in such a big way. And I think that's something that Japan does so much better than the US does. Like, kids shows are kids shows here. And they're kind of looked down upon by most of Hollywood. They make money, but they're looked down at like this lesser form of acting, and that's for people that don't know how to be real actors. And there's a lot of like former Power Rangers that had exceptionally difficult times getting work after Power Rangers for a couple of reasons. One, it was non-union for years. And doing non-union stuff is a great way to piss off the Screen Actors Guild, especially if it's non-union stuff that's popular. Like Power Rangers was massively popular, and the Screen Actors Guild hated that. So that stopped a few of them. But it eventually went union, and even after that, like, there are a lot of Power Rangers actors that had really, really hard times getting work after that, because they were just looked at, oh, you did children's television? Ugh. Whereas in Japan, like, they treat it like an actual art form. It's entertainment for kids, but that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Children deserve to have good entertainment, just like adults deserve to have good entertainment. And they get like pop stars to write and sing the theme songs for some of the Super Sentai series and stuff like that. Like, they treat it significantly better. Yeah. I wish, and a lot of it has to do with just the kind of nonsense that is Hollywood, and it's been getting better over the past few decades. Like, it used to be, there were three different types of actors, and they did not intermingle. You had stage actors, you had TV actors, and you had film actors. And each one thought that they were the real actors. And they each had their own union, and they were cutthroat about it. If you crossed lines, like, people looked really bad. Especially when you looked at film versus TV. It was one of the reasons why, like, when Robin Williams went from Mork and Mindy to movies, he never went back, or he didn't go back to doing TV in any way, shape, or form until very, very late in his career, aside from like a cameo on like Friends or something like that. Because it was looked down upon as just, no, that is a lesser form of acting. You are a movie star. And that's been kind of built into Hollywood for a really, really long time, this idea of, there are certain kinds of acting that is okay to do and makes you an actual actor. There's certain types of acting that you only do if you're really, really bad at it, or you're really, really desperate, or you don't care about the art. And I just don't think that differentiation is nearly as ingrained in Japan as it is here. And again, it's slowly, very, very slowly, starting to move away. But for the most part, the only reason it does is that things that make a lot of money, like it used to be, if you were a voice actor, you were the lowest of the low. Voice actors in cartoons, God, you can't even be on screen. The only thing you can do is act with your voice. You're so incredibly bad. And then voice acting started making money, and they started allowing movie stars to voice cartoon characters after Robin Williams did Aladdin. And then, voice actors are amazing and wonderful, and yet they're still treated like shit by most of the Hollywood elite, which is why Chris Pratt is voicing Mario as opposed to literally anyone else voicing Mario in the Mario movies. Charlie Day is Luigi, and like they didn't get a single voice actor to voice any of the major characters in the Mario Brothers movie. It's because they still kind of shit on voice actors and stuff like that. The hierarchy is everything in Hollywood. Anyway, interested to hear from you guys. First of all, how many Metal Heroes fans do we have out there? Or other stuff. Like I said, there's Kamen Rider. There's what was it called? Ultraman, which I can't remember if it's called that in Japan or if it has another name. Obviously, Super Sister Sentai. If I'm forgetting another big tokusatsu series, let me know in the comments down below. And then, what are your guys' opinions on Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity? You think it looks cool? You're not into it? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.